Welcome back. Joining us now is one of the big three, if you will. She's on the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, the Comptroller of the City of St. Louis, Darlene Green. Good to have you with us. I think your maiden voyage on the record.
Yes, it is, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
For those of our viewers who may not know, you run the checkbook and the financial accounts
Absolutely.
of the city. And you have recently criticized the distribution of federal funds into North City over concerns raised by reporting in the newspaper, on our airwaves, and others about the fairness. When were you first aware that some of these grant awards were perhaps improper?
One of the things I will tell you is that I have been a strong voice on behalf of the businesses north, the north side businesses who were overlooked, those that are long-term, that have been in business, say 5 years, 10 years, even up to 25 years. They were overlooked when it came to COVID relief, the grants that came to the city, and the mayor announced this huge program for North City businesses, $37 million going towards that effort. And I found out that there were several businesses that had been overlooked. They talked to me by phone, we sat down, they sent messages, emails, and I was so disturbed that I had to do something, I had to speak out.
Your office signs off on every contract that the city enters into. In that process, do you have the staff it takes to rigorously vet each grant application or each vendor?
It is a challenge, yes, because our staff is a staff of less than 100 right now. And we are vetting contracts as you state. But we also have the help of the City Council's office, and there's a process that takes place with regard to the vetting. In terms of that, the Northside grants are not contracts. I just want to get back to that. Those are literally federal grants.
Right, and they have different, you still have to approve them.
No, I don't.
No.
What was approved, and I'm so glad you asked that, what is approved is the ordinance that allots the amount, and that's approved both at E&A as well as the Board of Aldermen. But when it goes over to SLDC, which is a separate entity controlled by a board and oversaw by the mayor.
That's out of your hands.
That is out of my hands. But I am a voice for the people, and that's what I'm always very sure to say to people, because an independent comptroller, an independent voice that does not report to the mayor can speak out. So I'm able to speak out when I see some injustice and unfairness, and that's what we have in North St. Louis with regard to those grants. As a matter of fact,
I want to jump in if I can.
Sure.
You highlighted independent comptroller who doesn't report to the mayor. That sounded to my ear like you were highlighting the recent discussion about changes to the charter that would weaken your office.
It would weaken the financial structure of the city.
But also your office.
It would weaken the financial structure of the city, and that's important because we have fought for over 100 years to keep that financial structure strong. Every time you've gone to the voters, and this has not just been this time, the voters have stopped the charter change that removes the comptroller, stop any charter change that weakens the financial structure, because the finances of this city needs an independent voice, and it's been proven over and over and over.
So that brings me back to part of my first question, which was, when did you find out? Can you take credit? Can anyone in your office take credit for discovering any of the corruption or fraud concerns in these grant funds?
What we can take credit for is the putting the voice to it, as well as... So
reporters brought it to your attention and you uplifted the issue?
We read, just like everyone else, the 14 articles within 2 months. From articles, news reports that highlighted the empty lots that received grants, the structures that were not open, shuttered structures that received grants. And so with that, we were able to communicate to SLDC to get it right. Mm-hmm. We communicated to the mayor, and with our communications and continuing to push, that has helped. So we take credit for continuing to push, taking the courage to push to get it right. We put together a special team now, because now we have 2 years to spend this money. Our special audit team will stay on this case, and we will not let up, because it's too important, because we know how important our tax base is. The small businesses make up our tax base, right? And we want them to know that we are trying to do the right thing so that they can want to stay in North St. Louis.
And taxpayers and businesses who have applied in North City, the big meat on the bone, as it were, in this news story this week is that nearly $5 million of that $37 million has been recovered, rescinded, revoked, or surrendered by entities that had applied for it. A big chunk of that money is coming back from the Urban League, who says they're sacrificing that money and no longer seeking it. The rest of it is being clawed back from grant applications and business owners who had applied, and now the city or SLDC is saying maybe they weren't qualified in the first place.
Absolutely. Some of them were going to empty lots. So now those dollars are going to be available to go to long-term small businesses north.
I want to ask you about how the city should spend those dollars, and here's how I'll frame the question. A lot of the businesses in North City that have asked for money, they've lined up and said, we need help. They feel like the ask that they made to make a real difference was X, and the amount of money they might have received was Y, a lot less. Crumbs compared to what they needed. Is it a better investment for the city to pick a few really high impact investments and make those dreams come true, or just sprinkle a little across so everybody gets a taste? With
that nearly $5 million that they have now?
Yes, with the remaining money left over.
The remaining money can render up to 50 substantial grants, 100,000 if you will, 50 divided by 5 million. Up to that amount, that will go a long way in assuring North St. Louis businesses that the city government is looking out for them. The city government says, we're wanting to make the community that you chose to put your business and stay here, that this money should help you with the sustainability to do that. Because that's what it's about now, Mark. It's about sustainability. It's not about a competition, or it should not be about a competition. It should be about COVID relief and sustaining businesses in North St. Louis, and that's what I'm going to fight for. So yes, we have a great opportunity now that those dollars have come back. They froze out the ineligible businesses, and now the long-term businesses should get a shot. And I dare North St. Louis, not North St. Louis, I dare SLDC to say that they can't do that.
The way you talk about this, it raises a question in my mind. Not to cast aspersions, but do you have reason to suspect that the way the Board of Aldermen directed these funds around your office through SLDC was by design, on purpose?
Well, I can't say that, but what I can say is that the federal guidelines, the federal law says these are COVID relief dollars for businesses.
Do you think you would have caught these things had they come through your office?
Absolutely, I would have, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the first order of business is to read the regulations, and we saw things that were not kosher. According to the regulation.
Yeah,
okay?
In fact, there was a whistleblower at SLDC who used to work there who raised those concerns, and she was let go.
And if that whistleblower had come to my office, which she would have had the right to do so, we would have taken that matter up immediately, as we've done in the past.
Mayor Jones, we sat down with her this week and asked her about her bid to seek re-election, and we said, if you don't win, what will be your legacy? She told us rebuilding North City, spending a lot of money in North City. Evaluate that statement for me.
What I will tell you is we have the opportunity with the dollars that we receive from ARPA, as well as RAMS dollars, and as well as the strong fiscal structure and position that the city is in now, to leverage those dollars with downtown and build up North St. Louis. And when I say leverage, I mean that downtown has said they'll give us a 2-to-1. And if we're spreading those dollars wide there, they're going to help us lift up and rebuild North St. Louis. So there's a civic partnership that's going to happen so that we can do the right thing and get that done.
It takes us all.
It takes us all to get that done, and I'm telling you that we can do it if we work together and use those dollars wisely.
You're calling it an opportunity, which suggests that it's, at this point, yet unfulfilled potential. What percent are we in the loading bar for that promise to be fulfilled? Where are we at?
We're still pushing forward and upward. We've got
10%, 30%, 50%?
I'm going to tell you right now, when I drive through North St. Louis, we've got a long way to go. And I'll tell you, we've got a long way to go. And I'm going to say about 2/3 of North St. Louis is still needing to be uplifted.
I don't often pay compliments to public officials on this program because I feel like that's for the voters to decide on their own judgment. But I will say I submitted a recent sunshine or open records request to your office, and it was a very quick response. So I appreciate that. Thank you for the quick response. I don't even know if you were personally aware or not.
Well,
but let me ask you.
Sure, go ahead.
Let me ask you to make a further commitment, because you're also on the ballot this spring.
Yes, I am.
And voters are evaluating your record. There are a lot of contracts that the city puts out, and people do have to kind of go looking for them. Would it make sense, would it be a goal of yours to put every contract the city enters into up online on a portal, a transparency portal, where people could go through and see how their money's being spent?
That's a good question. However, I'm going to tell you this. We're going to strive for efficiency. We're going to strive for more transparency. And if a portal is what we need to do, we're going to strive to get that done. Because with the digital technology that we have, I'm going to tell you that we're going to strive for that. You know, that's going to be one of my future commitments, to make sure that there is something where people can take a look online, whether it's contracts, whether it's invoices, whatever it takes to make sure that people here in the city of St. Louis are feeling like there's more transparency coming from the Comptroller's office.
You think that's a good ingredient? You think the public deserves to see those documents?
Well, that's going to take a lot of work.
Sure.
Not only from our, people who work in my office, because we're not the first ones to have the contracts. We're the last place.
They come from all over the place.
So they come from all over the places. So if you're talking about city government, you're talking about putting everybody on notice in city government about their contracts. For example, a construction contract in the Board of Public Service. They're going to have their contracts before I get it, and sometimes we don't get it because they turn it down, or it goes to the legal department, and the legal department can stop it. So the question is, who's to load it up? Is it going to get loaded up from my department or at the end? After it's signed, or does it get loaded up when it's first agreed to at the Board of Public Service, or will it get loaded up at the legal department?
You're kind of the repository of all the financial statements and documents. It seems to make sense.
The registrar's office is actually the
sure.
Yes.
The final
resting place. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it sounds like you're suggesting that some agencies somewhere would have to take on more work.
All of them.
Yeah.
And I'm very clear about that, because we're in a digital age, and so prior to this, we were paper-driven, and we had a department that actually key entered everything, if you will. Now there's key entry all throughout the city government and all departments, so everyone will have more work. But it's all about learning, and it's all about time, and get it under our belt so that we can get it done, so that transparency can happen.
A work in progress.
A work in progress, absolutely.
Let me ask the question this way, because it's just direct and to the point. If the voters elect you, can you promise them that by the end of your next 4-year term, all city contracts will be visible in an online portal?
I cannot make that promise, but what I will do is promise to make that effort, because that is an effort that we will consider as a high priority and try to make it happen. And so that's what I will promise you.
All right, you've got a primary coming up just a week from Tuesday.
Absolutely, I do.
Why you and not the others?
Well, the people have asked me and have said to me they're grateful that I've decided to run again. And so I cannot ignore that, especially when we're talking about the city's tax dollars, when we're talking about protecting the taxpayers' money and continuing to protect the credit rating, which means so much to the growth of this city. So we want to grow our tax base. We want to continue to grow our city. Lift up downtown, lift up and rebuild North St. Louis, and continue to make this a good city that you want to choose to live in, work, and play.
Does the mayor have your vote?
I don't know, but what I do know, I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to serve in my position, because this position is all about service. And as I mentioned, we've got this special audit unit that's ready to go and pounce on those kinds of things that we need to be looking at under the radar. To those things that try to slide under the radar, we're bringing them to the fore.
So you're still considering voting for her?
Is that the question you asked me? I thought you'd ask me, was she going to vote for me? Oh my goodness.
I said, does the mayor have your vote?
You did say that. And I'm going to tell you, mayor does.
The mayor does?
A mayor has my vote, and I'm going to keep it that way, because I've always been independent.
Yeah.
And I've always run my race independent. And so I'll have to work if I'm reelected to whomever the mayor is.
So you're voting for someone, but you're not going to tell us who?
That's correct, just like you won't tell me.
Okay. Comptroller Darlene Green, thank you for your time.